Tell us a story. Tell us a story.
Okay, well, it was last Friday night. I was walking home from the... It looked like it was rotting.
Yeah.
She looked like a corpse. Like a walking corpse, man.
Sounds like my wife.
Thank you all for joining. Take a look at the environments and piece together a timeline of events that happened either before and even find a detail or two. A lot of material on speedrunning. There's a lot of material on Easter eggs, but I don't think anybody really looks at a game scene analysis. So we're going to take a look at everything here in Resident Evil 2 Remake by Capcom that was released in 2019. And what we will do is we'll take a look at each piece of environment, each piece of evidence that kind of sticks out, and then put together a timeline of either what happened before, kind of what's happening during, and maybe even stuff that happens a little later, and even highlight in an analytical sense of what is occurring before, during, and after the gameplay that you see here that may actually be going on around in a realistic sense. We'll probably find things, gameplay design specifics, that really doesn't match the real world. We may find some stuff that actually match up pretty well, and some really good details that maybe we can highlight to... Coincidentally, there's a storm that's happening right now, so any sort of lightning and stuff that is kind of happening here, as well as anywhere else, may actually be happening in the background. So let's take a look, and we're going to start here at the gas station, the Mizoil Gas Station with Leon as Kennedy, and see what we can piece together before Raccoon City was taken into full destruction. Alright, well, first thing to know, obvious references that we see here with the Jeep that Leon actually drives in. This is obviously a reference to a Jeep Wrangler, and it also has a license plate on it, which that is an Easter egg if you haven't noticed in the past, of Matilda, which is also the name of Leon's sidearm. That's also a reference to, I believe, one of the movies that was also referenced in the original. He obviously comes on to the gas station in Mizoil because either he's low to start, he doesn't actually hear anything. One of the little missteps here is that he did actually have the nozzle in chamber, which it looks like has been put back. He notices that there's not really pull or activity that's going on around, which is shocking because he pulled in and then didn't even notice as a cop that there's a sheriff's cruiser here. You know, its car doors open with no one inside. As he's trying to actually put the gas in, he hears a window or glass breaking. Interesting to note is the blood spatter here. It looks like what had occurred is at this particular point, which this could be a game design that looks like it's trying to pull the player into the gas station, but it looks like the blood actually pooled down and dripped at this particular spot, and it may even have occurred right here. And you can see there's actually some detail of boot prints, but the actual blood is kind of like pooling and dripping right here. And then it looks like there's some smearing, which struggle here between the assailant that is causing the blood versus the other person that is not, which actually has even more boot prints leading into the gas station. Which, if we look at the rest of the details here, everything looks pretty normal in the sense of there's lights going down the road, which go down a long way, which kind of illuminates some parts of it. Welcome to Raccoon City with their obvious sponsorship of a home of Umbrella, which in this particular case, Umbrella is that everybody trusts, that provides good medicinal solutions. We got Dingo Red Cigarettes. And then we also got Cordy's Painting Company celebrating 100 years of service with some phone numbers there, which is actually a good little reference, which is typical. The other thing too is gas prices are at 106, 109, 121 for unleaded plus, and then of course Supreme. And then it looks like there's a sign at the bottom for diesel, which is an actual number 2 for $2 with a bunch of tires here. It looks like that are dumped on the side of the road further down. Mizoil is the actual gas station name. And as we look at these gas pumps here, let's see if they're actually numbered, which they are. The one that Leon is at is number 1, and it looks like it's got 2 nozzles, so it even provides with the fuel grading on it, which is a nice detail of this. which it actually does turn out the other side, they're counting each pump on each separate size. So this is number 2, so you can actually get the diesel and the regular fuel, which is pretty cool. If we go over to this other one, we have a fire extinguisher. It looks like they also mislabeled this as another fuel pump, which is number 2. So most likely what happened was the environment artist made this, did a copy paste, probably put it over here, and put the same asset here. What's interesting though is that there's also blood that's found here on the side, which also is dripping, almost as if someone was leaning on this and dripping blood basically from wounds that they sustained. So this is probably what might have started as the initial turning point for whoever the zombie is that we run into in the gas station. Let's see if this other side here has any other evidence. Doesn't look like it does. Let's see. And then another obvious copy and paste of the asset that's over here for the pump with the same stuff. Got some abandoned barrels. We got some boxes in, some looks like some bags here covered in, and then some discarded tires. And then ice, $1.99 for a bag of ice. I assume that's a 6-pound. And then free air instructions for actually airing up your tire, which is kind of cool. And then if we take a look at these, it looks like we've got some gotcha candy games of let's have some fun with a rabbit, with a bird, and then we also got a frog, and probably a pirate. Refresh your mind, that's an obvious energy drink kind of reference, and then sparkling cool for sparkling water, which is really nice because there's also some details here of some other posters on the opposite side that's taped there, which obviously doesn't really show much care is given from the gas owner on that part to make it uniform. So same Dingo Red cigarettes, which is referenced over there. And then the hamburgers, which, let me see if I can read that, called Meaty Burgers. Funny, that's the actual name for it. Meaty Burgers here, and the burger that's actually shown here is probably a direct replica of the burger that the truck driver had on his truck drive over. Coffee special blend. They've got beer on sale for $5.99 with obvious references to probably some cervezas, some Blue Moon, and probably Shiner would be the other reference with a few different color variations with some snack sales there. Go ahead and take a look at the sheriff's car. So they left the car here, they left the lights on, but it doesn't sound like it's actually running, at least on the outside. However, if you look on the inside, it does look like the lights are on. I can't tell necessarily if the RPM gauge is running. It does look like it's in park with the emergency brake on. And there's no blood that's coming out of that, which is a good thing. That means that when they were called upon, and they got here pretty quick, I assume, the assailant must have started from here on this side, and then was caught by the sheriff deputies and probably started a little bit of an aggressive contact and confrontation around this way. Which, if you notice, I mean, they're probably starting here with obvious concern. If there was a second person that was in the gas station or somebody that reported it, weird activity, and they came upon it, they probably started walking, and then that's when they were intercepted, probably by the deputies here, with a lot of back and forth references. And it looks like with one set of boots here, with another struggle towards the door. So this could be a non-combative situation. It could be a situation where these folks met up, and basically they're trying to take the injured person and the inside to kind of take care of them more. Let's take a look at some of the last details, and then we'll jump right into the gas station. Dumpsters over here. It looks like we got a little bit more packages and probably discarded goods here that are being covered. This is obviously the telephone booth that Claire, actually in her version of the events, is used, and she uses that to start before she even goes inside the gas station. Alright, let's head into the next part of this.
Hello? Anybody there?
So Looks like Leon finds a flashlight on the ground. It's actually not his.
Something's not right.
In with him finally is saying something is not right, and as you can hear in the background, you hear some movement. It looks like on the right side here, we've got the typical snacks, lighters, everything else. So this part looks completely undisturbed and normal. The only time it becomes crazy is the pool of blood and stuff, which it looks like I'm probably... Nope, this isn't my footprint, so that's cool. There's obviously footprints of the person that is bleeding when they obviously are stopped here, and the pool of blood has dropped down in droplets, as you can see here. At this point, they've lost a lot of blood. It looks like they probably stumbled, and there might have been a little bit more of a movement and change in holding on to each other. Might be some aggressiveness that kind of occurred. Alright, before we move on further, because I know there's some commotion there which is going to trigger when I move over. Looks like the newspapers are undisturbed, as well as the ice cream here, which of course the herb ice cream, herbs heal you. It's an obvious reference to the red, green, and yellow herbs, and even the blue ones that's supposed to help with poison in the franchise. If we look a little closer, we actually got some left. It looks like some yellow, red ones. I know that's definitely blue. I'm not sure if that's a green one, so they definitely got some variations there. All this stuff has been knocked on the side, so there was an obvious struggle here that knocked these products down. We're going to look on the left here and see if there's any more things in reference that might have been modified, moved around. So far, so good. It looks like they are low on beer, so that sale that they've got for beer is actually working out pretty well. Looks like the glass on this side is pretty undisturbed. A lot of different energy drinks that were kind of provided out there. Some moved around and changed, so very old traditional type of refrigerators. And then we've got some magazines. Undercover Thrill, Eric the Dragon Slayer. They killed him. Some traditional Bikini Babes, Let's Dance. They have an actual magazine here that's called Fine, and I imagine that's probably promoted by the Umbrella Corporation. Lifestyle, Aphrodite, which obviously means love magazines, with an actual magazine that's called Love. Goddess, Vikings, Four Wheels, Earnings, Important, Driving. So just regular references to what type of magazines. And it looks like we've got probably more soda-based products here in the boxes. Not very well put together, so obviously and even more beer on the back. So it just needs to be restocked. It looks like this person that's running the gas station just needs to pick things up,
all right?
pick up the pace. So before we get to that, let's look at some of the other details here before we
I'll be back for you.
get there. Obvious trigger is expected for me to go past him, but it kind of went off because of the fact I see him and went in the other direction, which is kind of cool, just to kind of reference that. Alright, we got some donuts here. Got some donuts that are probably here from the morning, probably going to be cleared out. Got some lottery tickets and some cigarettes that are pretty cheap per pack, actually, $1.25. More beer, more liquor. Looks like there might have been a little bit of a struggle here that occurred, because as you can see here on the side and on the end cap here, there has been, with more pool of blood moving around. And then this is probably where, no, that glass isn't shattered, so no glass shattering quite yet. What's interesting though is that it looks like there was a little bit of a struggle and movement of stuff that has fallen on the side here. Doesn't look like the pool of blood made it over here, so most likely what had occurred was there was much of a commotion, the fact that it might have moved this coffee station here, which has a lot of the coffee products to sugar, creamer, and everything else, and it must have moved these materials that probably weren't stocked very well to begin with. Cold drinks, coffee, and soda, all fine, so just the pool of blood and such, and the trail that leads on is this way. So if we look in the aisle here, it doesn't look like much is actually disturbed. It doesn't look like maybe the assailant and the other person that's trying to carry him through basically was in this aisle, nor were they disturbed. So more or less, it was kind of more moved along, just like the trail is right here, and kind of moved along here. Looks like the refrigerator doors are still complete. Does look like there's some beers here that have been moved around, but nothing actually broken from what I'm seeing. If we look over on this side, it looks like there might be some shoving that might have occurred. And then looks like the rest of the refrigerators here on the right haven't actually been knocked around. So it looks like the pool of blood and movement and misuse might have occurred here. So this probably is going to be the source of the broken glass, even though I'm not really seeing much, and I think that's just game design, that they didn't put any pieces of glass and such, even though it's supposed to incorporate that. So based on the look here, it looks like this guy might be the primary guy that's bleeding. So if we take a look, yeah, the trail of blood doesn't continue, it just kind of stops right here. So what must have happened was the sheriff's deputy must have been out there. There might be a mixture of two different blood types here, because if he was the deputy that was here, which actually let's take a look. I might be making an assumption here, and I am incorrect. Yeah, this guy is the actual store owner. So either he was bitten or he was the one that started this, but he is going to be the store owner that basically has been bleeding through part of this. I think what's going on here is there's probably two people. It's probably going to be the other person that is the assailant that must have had a struggle with him. And maybe the both of them were trying to struggle with that one zombie that had occurred here. So let's go ahead and proceed in, and we'll take a look and see if other details and evidence. So the other part of the source of broken glass might be these bottles and such that were actually moved here. Obviously this is a trigger, the door is just shut.
Hey, what are you doing?
And I didn't realize that the store owner actually closed the door on Leon, but that's probably what he did. He might have done it as a sense to basically prevent this outbreak from coming out further. Obviously, I think he's just fearful for his life. He's probably not thinking that high up. But yeah, it looks like the majority of probably the glass shattering probably happened here and in that other lane, as the rest of these items are just cold and staying put. Alright, so let's move to the cutscene here, as the rest of this seems pretty undisturbed other than these things on the back of the fridge. But it sounds like there's a scuffle that's happening between the deputy and the other
Stop
assailant.
moving.
Officer, you need help?
Stay back, sir. I got this.
Hey, get off this! Right now!
Help me!
Freeze! I'll shoot!
Go ahead and take him out real quick. Alright, so the evidence that we're at right here is obviously this individual is probably going to be the assailant. The deputy here actually was doing just fine until Leon stepped in and tried to help, which wasn't necessarily his fault. The deputy should have paid attention and basically got a hold of him and then snapped him by eating a chunk out of him. Materials here back, which is going to be kind of the booking parts of making sure that he's making money in the store clerk with all of his expenses. And then these different materials here is and lockers and more products really haven't been affected much at all. There is a calendar here of the day of 98. Looks like we've got some dates that were circled here that said sorted out. But yeah, the locker here and the products have really just not been disturbed, other than of course the deputy not making it through and bleeding out is what the cause. But it looks like this individual, who may be a customer, was kind of the cause of all this, that caused not only him to bite and infect the store owner, but also to kill the deputy, which we're seeing here. There's a little bit of blood rubbing here and a little bit of pooling, and it's a little bit more coagulated here, as you can see. So obviously this came from the zombie. It didn't come from the deputy, which unfortunately he didn't make it. Let's take a look at some of the other materials here, and then we could probably call this good as far as the gas station. So a lot of other products here, which actually, if you remember from E3, on one of these bookshelves here that actually fell over as a mouse, is basically what's showing up here. Expenses and probably books to show kind of how well the gas station is doing. And then it looks like we got some cold pizza here, slightly chewed and not on and consumed. Got some memos, which you can't really read too much into it. He's obviously doing some beer in the job. We got some Daily Raccoon newspaper clippings. Body found in the woods, which is an obvious reference to the first Resident Evil game. Missing man found dead in Raccoon City. It's obviously more clippings related to the events of the first one. He was an obvious smoker, and yeah, he has some more calendars he likes to stick to the time. And Bikini Babes, which is the same one in the front, and then some other ones he probably brought in himself. And so we're going to go ahead and pick this key up, which is to the storage room, which is also the individual's office.
No way.
So yeah, that's a trigger for him to come back up. We're going to go ahead and take him out real quick. Made his head explode. Yeah, it looks like more coagulated blood and everything else that just caused that to occur. Alright, and then this is going to be the time, because I've only got like 4 bullets, for me to kind of go through the store as it gets raided by the rest. So we're going to see who else jumps out here. I'm going to do this because I know about this and I'm going to do it early. So, as we can see, the store owner is there. We've got another assailant here.
What the?
That just came out of nowhere. And then we have another one who just came out of nowhere as well. Not sure if he was hiding there the whole time, but I totally didn't see him.
Don't shoot!
Get down!
With another one coming out of, obviously, Raccoon City, the woods, or the interstate.
You alright?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks.
You can thank me later, when we're safe.
Holy shit.
And it looks like we got about 9 or 10 more people surrounding the gas station.
Come on!
With them using their wit to evade, push, and get in the deputy's car, which I guess it wasn't actually on, it was just the lights, because he used the key to turn it on and drove out.